This is Kitzur Yomi as we continue learning Siman Mem Vav, the halachos of Machalos Asurais. We pick it up on Sif Dalit. It says the Kitzur. Sometimes blood is found in milk. Some blood comes out with the milk from the breast of the animal. You have to ask a chacham this again nowadays. If you have blood in your milk, certainly discard. We do not have such a mitzias. And we continue with Sif Hey, says the Kitzur. Meat and milk, there's three isurim, three separate isurim deraisa from the fact that Torah says Lotzavashel 3 times. We learn out you cannot eat it, you cannot cook it, and you cannot get benefit. Ulachain. And therefore, now just very perfectly, as always, note 9 points out that the Isra Hana is not in all cases, it's only on the Da'araisa of milk and meat. L'chein, therefore, in that season, if something is usher because of milk and meat, but what do you do? Sometimes you can't even get benefit. So it's a shayla. Don't just think, oh, I can give it to my dog. I can just give it to the cleaning lady. Not always is that simple, because if it's a real daraisa, you cannot even get benefit from it. Continues the Kitzur Sif Vav. Shnei Yishil Makirim says, and we mentioned this parenthetically in the previous year. Now we're going to see this properly. Two Yidden that know each other. Even if they aren't happy, they're in the middle of a fight. Still, they cannot eat on the same table meat and milk. No, 10 points out. Why? Because one might eat from the other person's dish. And therefore, even if they are not happy with each other, as long as they might, therefore, they cannot eat with each other. At the end of note 10, it points out, if they're wayfarers who do not know each other, you sit down at a random rest stop and there's someone next to you, you're not going to go dive into his food. Hacker. So what do? What do you mean? I want to have meat and you want to have milk. What do? We create a hacker. We create a something, a sign, a reminder not to touch other person's food. Keep going. Everyone eats on their own tablecloth. Or put it on the table between them. That's not normally to be there. And no 12 points out, loaf of bread they're not eating from, a candlestick. Again, is something, find something, put it on the table between you two. Don't drink from the same vessel quickly, because the food touches it, and therefore, if I'm having milk and you're having meat or drinking from the same cup, that is illegal. And we continue with Sif Zayin, certainly one has to be careful. One loaf of bread cannot be used for milk and meat. Now, very important. Note 14, Ramesha Feinstein. What happens if you want to have your challah for a Shabbos day lunch and you want to have the leftovers for Shalosh Shudas, which is dairy? Obviously, lechatchila is different loaves. If not, take it off the table, have it in a separate kli, or the big chunk of loaf is going to be different than the sliced up pieces. You cannot have the same bread with milk and meat. Different salt receptacles, because we dip into salt, or they dipped in salt. And of course, if we have salt shakers, then this wouldn't really apply. But note 15 points out that the many still have separate utensils for milk and meat, even salt shakers. One should write on the utensil what it is. Is it milk? Is it dairy? You should be rashom. You should make a mark on the second yuchel mechel chalav, on the one that is made for dairy, on the knife. So you don't mess it up. Now, in note 17, it points out it doesn't really have to only be for the one of dairy. However, that was their universal symbol, and that's what they did. However, of course, the Iker Nekuda over here is to make sure that it is labeled, not to mess up what it is used for. Sif Tes, you eat meat or you eat a food cooked with meat. You have to wait 6 hours. So choose something, give it to a child, and you also have to wait. And again, note 18 points out, took a lot of background over here. The two reasons you have to wait the 6 hours. You have Rashi, the taste in your mouth. You have the Rambam, it gets stuck in your teeth. And therefore, if you have a meaty food, that's Rashi, it's in your mouth, you have to wait 6 hours. If you chew meat, that's the Rambam, it's between your teeth. Af al pisha shakishir. Even though one waited the amount of time, 6 hours, and matzah basma in you still found some meat between your teeth. Sarich lasir, you have to remove the meat before having the milk. You don't have to wait another 6 hours. Rinse out your mouth. You have a little bit of bread, wipe out your mouth, rinse it out. And we continue with Sif Yodim. If the dish did not have meat or meat gravy, Elishin is special bikidera shel basar. Such an incredibly critical halach that always people mess up. Something is made in a meaty pot. Even if it wasn't washed well, still mutter lechol acharav chalav. You're allowed to eat dairy afterwards. You're allowed to eat dairy afterwards because the meat pot will not make you Fleishigs. No, 21 points out for the shach. Even if the pot is a little bit dirty, would be fine as well. Even though you cannot eat it together with milk, it will not make you Fleishigs. Meat right away. The Kitzur Paskins in another meal. 22 points out. You have to have bracha and then eat it. However, the Mishnah Berurah says no. The Mishnah Berurah says even the same meal it is allowed. If the yadav check your hair on it, it means davar me'agvin and didbak. You can have no cheese left to them, or your chutz of mayim, wash them with water. Clean out your teeth and rinse out your mouth. If it's hard cheese, it was aged for 6 months. Again, whether this halacha of hard cheeses applies nowadays is not simple. We'll just point out that if the cheese is melted, that's often the case. One does not need Yad of Rum. One does not need to have to wait 6 hours if the hard cheese is melted. One who ate cheese and now wants to eat meat. You got to remove the bread, the leftover bread for the table. You can have the same tablecloth. Even to cut the bread with the Fleishig knife and the milking knife, you cannot do. And even if the knife is clean, as long as it is very clean, and so too the reverse. And this just brings out how important one has to be with knives. Even just cutting the bread with a knife. Of course, not the actual milk or meat, but even the bread one should not do. Again, b'shasat chak on the derech, there is what to be lenient on. And we continue with Sivya Gimel and Mechatach Masagin Shal Basar B'Tsalim. Here it is. You cut onions or another sharp food or shadar chariv and asal l'maychol chalav. And you cut it with a meaty knife. And you put it in a milky food. You gotta ask the Rav. And the Kitzur leaves this open-ended, as this is not pashut at all. When the knife was used last, whether it was clean, etc., etc. We'll leave it like that. Ask a Shelas Chacham. We've done Shira Mananians. Maybe we'll do another one. But ask a Shelas Chacham. You make meat with almond milk. You have to make sure that people know it's not real milk. Nowadays, once something becomes nafutz, becomes common, it's not as concerning. But still, one should make it known that it's not real milk. We do not kasher things for milk and meat back and forth. And the Kitzur leaves that open-ended. You should not be switching the gender of your kelim indiscriminately. And finally, wine, meat, or fish that does not have a simin, that one sends with a guy, and certainly a yiddu's chashid, you have to have seal, b'toich seal. A very important halacha. Anytime you're trusting food to a guy, we have to have 2 chaisamais. Again, it could be simply a bag in a bag. It could be a piece of tape that's signed. We'll pick it up from here. B'siyata dishmaya.